I'd like to start out by welcoming a couple of guests. Mark Piori brought a mini me this morning named Jack. Jack, would you like to wave to everyone? I asked him if I gave him the microphone if he'd give a little speech, and he nodded affirmatively. So it's like, okay, he didn't fall for that. And then Tony McDonald brought a guest, his best friend and brother-in-law, John Lobsky, sorry. What was that?
He's just a brother-in-law.
Just a brother-in-law, not best friend anymore, not after this morning. Okay, now we're on to some announcements. Many of you, if you're on social media, know that our friends at the Bonhoffs got married over the weekend this week, and they're live on Zoom. So that's not exactly live, but and Tom, we're expecting a nice amount in your happy dollars.
Thank you.
The 20 for sure.
Yes, nice camera work, guys. A couple of more announcements. There's Safety Foundation golf tournament coming up, and Judy would like to talk about that for a moment.
Good morning, everyone. So on September 15th, we have the golf outing for the fundraiser for the Lakeville Public Safety Foundation. We're looking for some foursomes to golf in it, and it's at Southern Hills in Farmington. And we're also looking for some low sponsors. So anything that you can do to help us get foursomes, we can send the information over to Kathy too to send out as well. Last few years have been, we raised $10,000 or $9,000 and $11,000, and so we need to do whatever we can to help them out this year. And it's been a great event and a lot of fun. So please help us get this filled.
Thank you, Judy. Now for a moment on the blood drive, Mr. Cooper has some exciting news that I don't want to spoil it for him, so all yours.
When we were all meeting remotely, Tom Hendrickson always had on a special teacher. I don't know if you guys can, I know you guys can't see this or read it, but it says always give 100% unless you're donating blood. Look, here we go. Tom, this is for you. And I think I've been associated with blood drives for, I was trying to think, I know it's been over 30 years. I'm not going to go into that, but I've never been involved with one this big. And our goal was to get to 300. Because of COVID, there were space limitations. We're actually at a point right now of 297 units of blood if everybody's able to. This is every slot is taken. It's just unbelievable. This has never happened. Even for Memorial, it's usually this week is scrambling, trying to get donors to fill it up, and now we're scrambling for people to help us with the drive. So if anybody can, please let me know. Kathy has sent out an announcement. So if you can sign up, we need volunteers really bad. I think it's around 18 that we still need, but anyway, we can use your help. Thank you.
Nice job, Mike. I know there's a large team working with you on that, but that's fantastic news. The Lewis House, I said I'd mention this, is still doing a drive for our prior to our meeting next week. So if you're so inclined, Kathy has sent out a link to everyone's email, but they're looking for the Lewis House for multicultural hair products, some Uber cars, body wash, things like that, I think, and twin bed sheets. But there's a list on the link, and Sheila would like to mention something.
Well, I want to do a shout out to Amy. I don't know if she's not on. I can't see her here.
Shout out to Amy Urkebrack, who is not online.
No.
Okay.
But I wanted to give a shout out to her. She's actually the one that's spearheading this. towards supplies for next year. So I think that they should.
I'm going to repeat that. Amy Urquhart company, Thrivent, gave $250 towards the Sluice House initiative. So that's pretty fantastic. And so whatever we can do, again, if you're so inclined, that'd be wonderful. Everyone is so generous in this group. For a quick taste of Lakeville Minute is a strikingly handsome guy when I asked to come up, and then his friend Adam. Richard Henderson, you have a minute to talk about striking.
Okay, as the military would say, it's showtime. So the auction's going live today, and it's going to be live through next Thursday. So I've only got 3 things to talk about today: promote, promote, and promote. Please get on out there and interact. Best thing you can do is just start taking away on people you know and drive the traffic in the hits. And there's been a lot of work that's gone into it. To be honest, I haven't done that much work on it with the auction. A lot of people in here putting the auction together. So it all comes down to monetizing it over the next week. So please do all you can with that. And still make a pitch for the Greg Paterka member challenge to purchase your 6 tickets. He did that, and he still has laid the gauntlet out on that challenge. So help us make it a good fundraiser, and get on out there and reach out and touch people. Thanks.
Richard, maybe explain the wine in the box, but since Brenda put a lot of work in there.
Oh, yeah. So part of that is the wine judging in a box, about 75 or so of those through Lakeville Liquors. And those, so someone can buy that and then has 5 or 6 wines to choose from. They'll be able to do the wine judging. But this is also a place where we've promoted sponsors who have stated they came about half of our sponsors. So make sure you pitch that also for your friends that like to drink wine, that they can do the purchase the wine judging in a box through the Lakeville Liquors. Thanks.
I too would like to reiterate it's amazing how, when it got down to crunch time, how many people stepped up to help, and not only with contacting vendors and getting donations, but donating yourselves, and just how that all came together. And sharing on social media, as Richard alluded to, is huge. I've noticed that there are several of us that will share those posts, but it would be great if more do, because sure, we're boosting a lot of these posts, which reaches a lot of people, but organically it grows much faster if we, as a group, if you have social media, because we're all influencers, whether we like to admit it or not, in our communities. So please share those. Club picnic minute, Ken Wentworth.
Good morning, Rotarians. We've got a club picnic coming up here at Patty and Tony McDonald's house. That will be on August 27th, anytime after 5. We've got the Divine Swine all set up. We'll have some barbecue ribs and chicken and beverages, of course. Please check the link that you've gotten a couple times now and sign up. We've got about 38 or so people coming, which is great. And we'd like to see more of you out there. It's going to be a beautiful day out on the lake, and come out and enjoy. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. As he said, there's 38, well, there's 50 slots. So if you are considering coming by yourself or with a loved one, Tony McDonald has a comment.
If we need more, we can use our neighbor's slot, so.
Okay, if we need more, I guess there is no limit anymore. And since there's no one from the city here this morning, we're good to go. Yes, Elaine is close, and Judy's on the school board, and she nodded affirmative. We're good. Now, on to our speaker. I'll do the introduction here. Our speaker this morning is Tony Chiappetta, and forgive me if I'm probably butchering your last name, Tony. think he's there live. He's the president of CHIPS, a technology success provider headquartered in Shoreview, Minnesota. Over the last 19 years, CHIPS has successfully worked with thousands of small and medium-sized businesses throughout the Twin Cities. Their areas of focus are security, stability, and strategy, which allows their clients to further their business success. CHIPS has won numerous service awards over the years and is proud to be a member of InfraGuard, a program providing seamless public-private collaboration within government that expedites the timely exchange of information for the protection of critical infrastructure. Ooh, that's a mouthful. This helps Tony and his team keep CHIPS clients protected and avoiding issues that plague their organizations. Tony has been married to his wife Jessica for 25 years, and in their free time, they enjoy spending time on the lake with their 4 kids. Please help me in welcoming Tony Chiappetta of CHIPS.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me out. For today's presentation, we'll be talking about cybersecurity. So on the agenda, we're first going to cover the definition of cybersecurity, make sure we all are starting from the same point, then get into today's landscape, what the opposition looks like, what's on the line, how to protect your business, talk a little bit about cloud services and maybe some newer things, but also touch on zero trust technology, as that's the standard that has just been set as of yesterday by the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And then mention how you can learn more if this information was interesting to you. So just a bit of disclosure, we're a technology success provider, meaning our people work on the front lines with our clients to get them the business results that they want. We're not necessarily security analysts or reporters out in the field. So the information I'll be sharing today will reference a lot of information that's been made public through various articles and news agencies. And if anybody would like a list of those sources, I'm available to make those available upon request. So, so starting off, cybersecurity is a very broad term, but really the definition, if you were to look it up, says that it's the state of being protected against the criminal or unauthorized use of electronic data or the measures taken to achieve this. So that's not only hackers from the outside, but it's also employees taking advantage of things. And in today's landscape, looking at 2019, cybersecurity threats escalated exponentially. And if we were to look at 2020, it makes 2019 look like we had it easy last year. But the full stats from 2019, we saw incidents rising 41% year over year, ransom demands jumping 2,300%. And the FBI says that cybercrime is number 3 on their entire priority list. And in the very near future, cybercrime will generate more revenue than all drug trafficking worldwide. So if you think about that, it's drug trafficking is happening forever. And for cybercrime to surpass that, that's just amazing. Looking a little bit closer at the findings for 2019, we see that 16% of breaches were in the public sector, 15 were in healthcare, 10 in financial. But one of the things you may not know is that 43% of breaches actually hit small businesses. We always hear about the public sector and enterprise, big breaches, those make the news, but it is a problem for the small business community as well. Looking at one type of breach, business email compromise, the FBI says that $3.5 billion were lost to business email compromise in 2019 alone. And what that is that's fake money, wire in and invoices where the hacker impersonates a customer of yours or yourself, and they get payments sent to them that can't be recovered. Minnesota is in the top 10 targeted states. We've got a lot of organizations here, and the hackers know it. They're going after them. And also looking at that, another organization estimates that the global cost of cybercrime may be as high as $25 billion when you step back and look at it. So really, when you're thinking about cybercrime, is it something that you need to be aware of? Is it a threat to you? The FBI would tell you that, as being a threat to business, cybercrime is number one on their list. If we look specifically at ransomware, that's where people come in and they find out, oh my gosh, all my data is locked up, I can't open it, the systems can't be used, that type of thing. That's because all the information's been encrypted and held for ransom. And across 2019, we saw a lot of ransomware just exponentially growing, and that's still the case here in 2020. But 81% of businesses have experienced a cyber attack, and 66% have suffered a data breach. 35% were victims of ransomware, but those stats are continuing to go up. So it's something that when you look at a pandemic, cybersecurity and ransomware hitting businesses is definitely should be counted amongst that. In healthcare, one of the cases we looked at, Erie County Medical Center in New York, they decided to not pay the $30,000 ransom, which was pretty low for today's standards, but they estimate that to recover from this attack, it actually cost them nearly $10 million just to get back on their feet. And if that wasn't bad enough, looking at their IT needs to go from where they were to where they need to be to stop that from happening again, because these cyber criminals don't just hit an organization once and move on. They'll keep coming back. They're going to have to increase their expenses, which are monthly expenses, anywhere from $250,000 to $400,000 a month, just to get their systems secured enough and keep them there to avoid future attacks. So this is costing organizations lots of money. Some of you may have remembered a few years ago when Target was hit. As of 2017, Target said they paid out $18.7 million in a settlement, but total cost of that breach was already over $202 million. So big dollars. I know if our organization had to pay out $202 million, probably wouldn't be around, and that's the case for a lot of small businesses across the Twin Cities. So we're hoping to help them avoid that scenario. But nation state actors are regularly hitting the public sector. We know that. But what you may not know is that they're also going after businesses as well. So it's the range of these hackers is pretty extensive. So if we look at the opposition, I kind of break those into three different groups. You've got your classic portrayal of a hacker. You might, think back to a movie you've seen, or, that image of somebody hanging out in their parents' basement, the lights dim and they've got the hood up and you can't see their face, that type of thing. There are definitely people that play around like that. But in today's world, there's also the novice that, could be somebody down the street from you that's not even tech savvy. They're able to participate in this cyber crime landscape by purchasing pre-built software scripts. There's actually a thing called ransomware as a service, where you can buy the code that ransomware organizations put together, and all you need to do is send it out for them, and then they cut you a commission back for any revenue generated to the organization. And those are leveraging known exploits that are sitting out there 90% of the time, because they know not everybody responds to those vulnerabilities when they're identified, and they're left unpatched. So it makes it really easy for them just to write a software script to go and see what they can find. But there is also those state actors, as I mentioned a second ago. They're using advanced tools and manually going through there. For example, Russia targets the energy sector. North Korea is into cryptocurrency. China actually spends 12% of their GDP on talent and pay people up to $1.25 million to come and be one of their cyber experts. And they have those people not only going after public and kind of US items, but really targeting universities and organizations to exploit their R&D and intellectual property. And the FBI says that this actually costs the US over $250 million a year because we're doing all the research and China's taking that information and exploiting it, producing products from their companies instead of ours. And that's a big hit to the people that put a lot of time and effort into it. So what's on the line for small businesses? Well, again, 43% of victims in 2019 were small businesses. And unfortunately, those that get hit, 60% of them do end up going out of business. And that's due to the disruption in their business. It's due to the loss of data because they may not even get that back. There's no guarantee that even if you were to pay a ransom, that you get that information back. Cost per records are continue to go up, and fines, depending on what industry you're in, can put you out of business right there. And so if we look at it, cyber attacks now cost companies on average $200,000, and that kind of a price tag can certainly put an organization out of business. But it's not just the financial cost that hits people directly. It's also loss of brand reputation. A lot of people don't know that there's a statute on the books here in Minnesota that requires businesses to make a notice to their customers, employees, if there is a breach of security on their network. And if that wasn't bad enough, having to tell your customers, hey, sorry about that, we had a breach and here's what happened. The ransomware people are trying to get paid as much as possible. And they're actually now not only encrypting the data, but they're taking that data from the organization and they have it ready to be posted on the internet and advertised that, hey, we've got your information. Here it is. Come see the dirty secrets from company XYZ. And, they're just trying to do anything they can, even if that means, destroying the brand of an organization. Those hackers really want to get paid. So they're becoming more and more malicious. So, how do you protect your business? And really, a friend of mine, Paul, coined this phrase is, you need to attack this issue, which is really a business model. The hackers look at this as their business. You need to attack that with your own business model. So, what would that system look like? You certainly want to start with compliance. While compliance is not the same as truly being secure, it is a really good objective starting point. And there's a lot of different compliance standards out there. From a general standpoint, NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, it's a great place to start. But maybe your organization is in a particular industry that's governed by HIPAA or GDPR. If you're dealing with customers in Europe, maybe you take credit cards, so PCI is important to you. Maybe you work with people in California and they've got their own over there, as well as other states are looking to pass their own laws. So make sure you're looking at what those compliance items are and figuring out, hey, how do we stack up with what the government says we should be doing? But if you step back and look at it, the basics are, obviously the hackers are coming after your data. So now you want to make sure you're backing that up, if at least daily, if not, multiple times per day. And, what we've been seeing in the marketplace is that, while backup is great, it's really about data recovery, disaster recovery, business continuity, that level of, hey, if something was to happen, whether it is a cyber attack or maybe it's a riot, maybe it's a natural disaster, tornado or something hits your headquarters, how do you continue to work? So that's really where we're seeing that demand is more business continuity that includes that data protection. At the antivirus level, most people understand antivirus is a good thing. There are really 4 different levels or classes of antivirus. There's obviously the free stuff you can get, which is better than nothing. Then you get into that consumer level that's meant for really home users. And there's a big difference between that and the commercial versions that are available. But there's a fourth tier that's called managed, and that's great because if you're working with an outside provider, they can keep an eye on your antivirus situation, so that if you do have a license expiring, or maybe a computer goes off the grid, it doesn't become a vulnerability or liability for the organization. The next section here, employee education. This is becoming something that organizations can't go without. And in 2019, 99% of all the breaches that happened involved an employee. So, most of that was probably accidental. Some of them may not have been. But educating your employees on what to look for, what the threats are, what their responsibility is, to protect company data, as well as, what's acceptable use when they're using their company, computer at the office, or maybe they have a laptop or a tablet that they carry around with them. What is that policy for the organization, and how can, what's expected to securely operate so that they're not accidentally putting the organization at risk. Then we get into kind of monthly security updates. Microsoft is putting up security updates for Windows and Office every month. And also third-party software vendors will put their releases out later in the month after they see what Microsoft does. But this includes things like web browsers, Java, Adobe. Those are big targets for hackers. So all those things need to be updated on a regular basis, including Zoom if you happen to use Zoom. You also may want to look at your organization and see what software is installed, because software on a system that isn't necessarily being used can be a vulnerability and a point of attack for a hacker. So getting that software off of those machines can help kind of lower, make that target vector smaller for the hackers to go after you with. Also use a commercial firewall and ensure no open outside ports are there. A lot of people, especially in the work from home scenario now, like to use remote desktop to get back to the office. However, it's so easy for a hacker to go after an open port like that. There's actually a website on the dark web that you can go to, and it will show every IP address that is publicly available that has remote desktop available, and it will actually show you what the operating system is that you'd have a chance to log into. And a lot of times they can identify what the username is. So it's making it so easy for the hacker that all they have to do is run a software program that allows them to keep trying passwords until they get the right one. So make sure all open, all ports to the outside are closed up, and you don't give the hacker an opportunity to get an easy way in. And then have a what if plan. What if this happens, whether it is a cyber attack or, again, some kind of natural disaster or what have you. What does that look like to keep your business up and running, that type of thing. And as far as, computer management, that type of thing, taking a look at all the different areas, Gartner would tell you that it is actually less expensive to actively manage a computer rather than to pay for a reactive service, because they're 80% of an IT cost occurs after the initial purchase. It's not just buying the hardware, and that unmanaged PC can actually cost about $5,000 per year, which is more expensive than properly managing it in the first place. Another big thing that is super important here in 2020, multi-factor authentication. You may see this with the banks or the financial institutions that you work with, where they want you to provide a code that's sent to your phone to verify your identity. That's super important to make sure that even, from an email standpoint, you're being protected and somebody other than you is not accessing your account. So a lot of things to think about, but here's maybe 3 questions that you can ask yourself. Number 1, are you prepared for extended downtime? Could you recover if your network, your systems were offline for weeks? Number 2, do your employees understand their role in protecting the business? And number three, what's that fallback plan for conducting business? How do you continue to operate even in a scenario where a disaster just occurred? And you know, would you be able to limit your losses to 200,000? You know, if you don't have a plan, it could certainly exceed that. So a lot of information there, and just a few more things that you may not have heard about or know that you're vulnerable with. In the area of cloud services, I've talked to a lot of people that, hey, you know, I've sent my data to this cloud, and you know that provider's taking care of it. Well, you're actually still responsible for your data and having you know, the proper backup and protection to that. While the vendor may have certain things in place, they're really trying to protect their self and not necessarily have your specific interests at heart. Another newer thing is all the IoT or operational technology that's out on the network is causing a large attack vector for hackers to come in and you know, get the data that they're looking for. This is everything from, you know, security cameras, which is kind of funny. Security cameras are probably the least secure IoT device out there. Not only can they take over and see what's going on with that camera, but they can also control it and use it as a way to get into the network and continue on to the server. But this is also building control items, thermostats, humidity sensors, all those things. A lot of areas in healthcare, all those medical devices that you see on the network, those are a point of breach. You know, general industrial IoT, the items that you see in energy, and even in emergency vehicles, they've got equipment in there as well. A couple examples. One, you know, casinos got these really nice fish tanks. You may have seen them before. Well, the fish tank had an internet connected thermometer to make sure that, you know, is the right temperature for the fish. Well, the hackers got in there and, you know, jumped from that fish tank over into the network and got a big payday. So those things happen. On the residential side, a hacker was messing around with a small cable company, and they actually hacked the cable company and put out a fake emergency alert to all the customers there. And it took them a long time to figure out that that wasn't real. But these IoT devices have actually been part of these large scale attacks, you know, everything from that Target breach to Stuxnet in Iran to, you know, the Hoover Dam is on there, New York Dam from when they were hit. So things to be aware of, and, you know, maybe look at your organization, say, hey, do we have any of these vulnerabilities? Now to talk about kind of the standards in there, or the systematic way to start addressing these things. Defense in depth has always been kind of the way to secure an organization. And that's where your provider continues to sell you different layers of security, you know, one for the computer, or nowadays it's really multiple different layers. You know, you got some layers in your email, you've got some layers on your network, all these different things. And it's kind of like playing with a stack of Swiss cheese. As long as all the holes don't line up, you're kind of okay. But those hazards eventually do line up for the hackers, and that's how they get in and cause losses. Well, something that's you know, has been asked for and been demanded is this concept of zero trust, which is, you know, you need to verify the user, validate device, and then even then give them the only the access they need, and at the least, you know, level of privilege. And that can stop a lot of attacks, even though it sounds super simple. That's kind of the beauty of it, and where the industry is now moving. So kind of a couple examples of, you know, if there was a situation with ransomware or something else, on the left, the detect and respond, you would, you know, you'd have your IT team freaking out. Oh my God, you know, the hackers are in here, they're executing the ransomware. They've got our data. Now we've got to recover. We've got to, you know, figure out how we're restoring and, you know, kicking them out of the system, that type of thing. Where on the zero trust side, you know, you may see a blip on there, but because encrypting your data was not something that is going to be allowed at any point within your organization, the system knows to stop it. It just, it never and never executes. When I'm talking with banks about this, it's like, really the analogy is in a bank scenario, they've got the bulletproof glass, they've got the guard in the lobby, they've got bars in the windows, all these things to stop somebody from coming in with a gun and robbing them. Well, in a zero trust environment, that person walks in with a gun, whether it's a robber from the outside that you've never seen before, maybe it's even an employee or a customer, but that gun never fires because guns are not allowed to fire in that organization because of zero trust. So they just tell them to move on and try it with somebody else. I'd rather be in that kind of simplistic way rather than trying to fight fires all the time. And that's important to note too, because with the skill gaps widening on cybersecurity, they're estimating there's hundreds of thousands of jobs that are going to be left unfilled, to fight these fires. So organizations may not even have the talent they need to continue a defense in depth posture. The good news is zero trust is actually available and has been a thing. The federal government has been deploying zero trust solutions since 1997. We've successfully helped out a local sheriff's department recover from an active threat. After 4 weeks, their team gave up and we came in and had it completely secured in one business day. And just as of yesterday, again, NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technologies, has updated their standards to say that zero trust, while it's been present in the federal government environments, it's now recommended for all organizations as the standard to reach towards. So, in summary, to have success in business now is dependent on technology. And that can be achieved by, kind of 4 steps here, setting standards and policies for your organization, but also then taking a look at those standards. How are we doing, aligning to those standards and getting those things the way they should be. And 3, creating a strategy on how to leverage technology in your organization to actually do more and serve your clients better. But then number 4 as well, having a business process to routinely evaluate and implement the next thing that will move your organization forward. So a lot of information today. Usually at these events, I get an opportunity to talk with people before and after. And, if you like the information, you're curious about how to learn more, here's 4 ways that maybe we can connect after the meeting here today. We've got a website, and these links are case sensitive. You can visit the website it's got a short little video about zero trust. And also a white paper on how it can actually be achieved today and get the same level of protection the military has. Number 2, you can join us for a technical demonstration. We're doing a webinar the afternoon of Wednesday, September 2nd. Let me know if that is of interest. Or simply just schedule a time to chat. That link there on number 3 will show you available times on my schedule. You can pick a time and book that with me. Or even just the old-fashioned way, so to speak, give me a call, see if you can reach me or shoot me an email. But I appreciate the attention today, and if we've got a minute or 2 for questions, I'm happy to see if I can answer anything specifically.
Thank you, Tony. And if any of our members have a question, please raise your hand and I'll run the microphone out to you. In the meantime, Tony, do you have any thoughts about the upcoming election and how other countries might be trying to meddle in that, or what you kind of see might be happening in the future, the day after the election, what we may realize?
Yeah, so they're always going to try to influence the way people vote and put information out there that helps them get the result that they're looking for. So that's kind of the biggest thing that is the hardest to stop. There's definitely some holes in the security of the election process, and that's a big situation that needs to be addressed as well. But there's I guess people on both sides that aren't necessarily interested in making that as secure as it could be. So if election security is something that you're concerned about, I would encourage you to bring that up with your elected official and encourage them to take the steps to do that.
Thank you, Tony. Are there any online questions? Skip has a question.
Yes, Tony, are you familiar with the app ID Shield?
I am.
What's your opinion of that?
So I think it's a good product. I've heard a lot of good things about it. It's one of those where they're trying to protect your identity. And then if something is discovered that has been a breach, they actually do have a team to remediate that situation for you. So it is something I encourage people to participate in. I've heard that ID Shield actually can create kind of a low-cost employee benefit that business owners can extend to their employees. The value there is not only peace of mind for the employee, but from the employer side, it definitely eliminates a situation that could take a key employee out of play, if you will, because if they are part of a situation where their identity is stolen, it's not an easy thing to fix. It could take them months to get things under control, and that would take them out of the workplace for multiple hours per day. So it's a good thing, not only from a personal perspective to look at for yourself, but encourage employers to look at it as well.
Thank you. Good job.
I'm a customer of LifeLock. Oh, I'm sorry, did I interfere? Were you finished? I'm sorry. I'm a customer of LifeLock. How does that fit into this process?
How is LifeLock what?
How does that fit into the type of work that you do? I've been, we seem to be contacted every time I turn around and we've had a breach in our credit card situation, in our personal credit card situation. How is that associated with something like what you do?
Yeah, so LifeLock, like ID Shield, is protecting the consumer's identity, and that's kind of after the fact. We're more working with the organizations, the banks or the financial institutions, or the small businesses that have that non-public information, and they don't want it to get stolen in the first place. We're able to put those systems and technologies in place to make sure that they don't have to go to their customer to say, hey, sorry about that. Somebody's got all your information, and we're doing what we can to recover. So we help them avoid that situation altogether.
Tony, this is Ken Wentworth. Our company got hacked, and it was a social hack with our Chinese partners, and it was multiple six figures. But the local governments and law agencies were not interested in anything under $1 million. Are there resources available for companies to try to recoup losses that fall below the threshold that law enforcement's interested in chasing? We were able to recover about half of it only through extensive work with our Chinese partner, through using bribes and other things through the Chinese government's levels, but which was great. We did get half, but that was all through private endeavors, and there was little or no resources available for. And these dollar amounts obviously put many companies out of business, but there was no recourse at all for trying to go after us through normal channels.
Yeah, I guess I would say the FBI liaison here in Minneapolis that I've gotten to know through InfraGard, he would tell you that those funds may be recovered. For example, if it's a wire transfer, if you were to notify me and I can in turn get them on it within 72 hours, they said they're able to get that wire transfer reversed. So something to keep in mind moving forward. But there is a specific channel to report internet fraud and other kind of cybercrime, and that then pushes it down to the appropriate department. I'm not aware of any kind of minimum threshold that has to be met or that type of thing. From what I've heard, it's more of a situation of jurisdiction.
Well, thank you, and thank you for I noticed a lot of our members were taking photos of your slides, so I think people will be contacting you soon, and we also have a copy of your slide presentation. So hopefully they will be using it for positive outcomes. In your honor for speaking today, we'll give an honorarium to Treehouse, which is an organization that helps at-risk youth in our area. So thank you so much. How about a round of applause for Tony?
Thanks for having me. I'll try and stick around if other people have questions too.
Thank you. Now for our Minister at Arms, Rachel Marzan.
Now, who wants to help me and hold the money bucket? You get out of having to pay.
Oh, that's why.
All right, so who has a Facebook? Raise your hand. Okay. Keep your hand raised if you marked going or RSVP'd to the Taste of Lakeville online auction or shared one of the posts in the last week for Taste of Lakeville. Everyone with a hand down, pay a buck. Or you can do it right now. RSVP or share. This includes people online. So then you get it out on Facebook because you're outdated. Sorry, not sorry.
This is great.
All right, so that was just the beginning. Now the trivia. So, okay, I'm part of the bee committee at Neighborhood Hills Community College. We're the first certified bee campus in Minnesota. And since Saturday, August 15th is National Honeybee Day, I decided that that would be the trivia theme for today. So we'll start with this table right here. Sorry, there's only two of you, but yours is hopefully easier. So working with Lakeville Parks Department, Lakeville Rotary created a city pollinator park. Why is this important? This table right here.
You left. Why don't you give the
You got the easy one. This is Rotary affiliated. We sponsored this. Why are we? Yeah, why? Yes. That's maybe half a point there.
If you could repeat their answer.
Okay, they said they're important for pollinating. So yes, that is true. Well, I need more.
We'll just use the word pollinating.
Why did we make a park?
For bees to sting little kids.
No, not for bees to sting little kids. All right, I will definitely help you. Yours is the easy one. I'm sorry for the rest of you. This is not starting out well. Honeybees are pollinators, you're correct. They're critical to our ecosystem, but their numbers are dwindling. So people like us are making parks so they have more safe places to actually pollinate with plants free of pesticide and things like that. I won't even give you your follow-up because that's not needed. All right, next table behind you right there. Bees can see the same colors we see except one. What color can't bees see? Any guesses? You are correct. All right. I will knock your follow-up. Will be nice. Oh, red. I'm sorry. Bees cannot see red. They can see all the colors we see except red, but they can also see ultraviolet. The table in the back there. In what continent did bees originate? In what continent did bees originate? That is correct. I do have a follow-up for you. It started in Africa, yep, worked its way throughout Europe and the Middle East, and it was brought here as well when the let's see, when the colonials came. They were established there mostly in Egypt for their honey-making properties, and that's what brought them along here to move the honey trade. But what is the subspecies name for the western honeybee that was brought here? Its actual scientific name, the western honeybee, the ones you see here.
No idea.
All right, no idea. It's Apis mellifera. There you go. Learned some Latin today. All right, let's put the table back there. What percentage of our food do bees contribute to with their pollination? What percentage of our food? This table there in the back. Yours is 50. It is 33%. 1/3 of our food that we eat we need bees for. So if they go away, we have more food scarcity problems. Perhaps, but food like apples, cucumbers, cocoa, bees help with that. So this table right here in the middle. Let's see. While ants and wasps are carnivorous, and at least some stage of their cycle, bees are completely herbivorous, deriving all their nutrition from pollen and nectar of flowers. How many flowers do bees have to go to gather 1 pound of honey? How many flowers do they have to go to gather 1 pound of honey? Ken, you better not be looking it up. I see you on your phone. Unless you're liking the Facebook for Taste Lakeville, and then that's allowed. Any guesses?
You're fine, Master. Let's just
Lisa on our table.
He doesn't have the answers, so I'll allow it. What's your final answer?
100,000.
They say 100,000. It's incorrect. It's 2 million. 2 million flowers for 1 pound of honey. This table up front here. In what part of the body do bees produce beeswax? Ears? Is that your final answer? Ears? Oh.
Your mouth.
Mouth? Final answer?
Sure.
It is the wax glands. Sorry, wax glands. This table over here.
I think that table needs to be fine for 5 people.
There are 7 songs by 7 different artists that are titled Honeybee. Can you name at least one artist?
Oh, 5 million.
You may have to do 2 now because someone's helping you out.
Bee Gees. There you go.
Bee Gees, final answer? Incorrect. You guys want to know the 7? Sure, okay. I'll go through quick. Blake Sheldon, you were right. The Head, the Heart, Grindman, the Supremes, Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Z-Abby, and the Kooks. And for our online participants, I guess you can, perhaps, if we can hear you, otherwise you can type it in the chat. How many times per minute do bees stroke their wings?
You have to unmute. 30?
How many times per minute do bees stroke their wings?
5, 4, 2, 3, 1.
Justin's looking up. Tell Juliet the answer.
What did he say?
4,875,000.
3,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
Justin said 3,000.
3,000 for our online participants? 3,000, is that our final answer?
Bigger than a
We've
bread.
got a couple numbers coming in.
10,000.
10,000. And Shannon. I don't remember what said Joe said.
4 million.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I
Ken said go with 3,000. Joe said go with 3,000.
Go with 3,000? All right.
Anyone
If
else?
you typed in the correct answer online, we didn't see it, you don't have to pay your $1. So the rest of you, 11,400 per minute. All right, that was my fun beach trivia. Now we have any happy dollars? I think for sure the Von House should just pay $1.
$1?
For getting married. $5? I don't know. $1 for as long as you've been together.
How about a 50 for marrying Kathleen, who is now the newest member of Rotary, at Kathleen Bonhoff. So we're very happy. We got married last Thursday afternoon or evening, and it was just beautiful. And I'm certainly very happy, and I think Kathleen is as well.
And it was a Rotary Day.
We should clean them.
That's awesome.
Yeah, there we go.
Where's the kissing?
Oh, listen.
We don't get it. Tom, wake up. Very nice.
$5 for number one Brenda and all of her endless hours to help us get this auction kicked off. And then because Tony offered neighbors places, I'm gonna buy 2 of the 6 packs of wine, a red and a white. So I need some of you to sign up that are wine drinkers so that you can do a tasting at the McDonald's. And if we have to move it down the road because there's too many, we'll just move it to another place. Or doors.
We've got lots of hours.
That's awesome. I have a happy $5, even though this is a 10, so please change them. People can bid and buy. You don't have to just keep bidding. And someone had already paid full price for the buy it now for $210 on some red wine. So Sheila, you got looking forward to a good weekend there. So I had to throw someone under the bus. Okay. So that's my happy $. Thank you.
Any other? Richard?
A reminder, Short Taste Lakeville meeting after this. I'm now a grandparent. Ariel was born a couple days ago. Dual citizen, Germany and here. And I decided once Taste of Lakeville is over, I'm going to have a deep void in my life. I threw my hat in for make a run for city council. Vote Richard Henderson.
Any other happy $? Going once, twice? We got another one, Ken?
Well, in the interest of marital subjects, my lovely bride and I celebrated our 41st anniversary yesterday.
All right, thank you, everyone. Oh, did we have, oh, yes, we have, want to pull a number for us? Oh, did we miss the online people, other than Bonhouse? Anybody else happy? Want to do a happy $? Gotta unmute Clint.
He's not on you. Krista hasn't moved in much. She's
not blinking. Clint, we can't hear you.
I got one.
Okay, Peg.
We got Peg?
Jean and I will have been married 52 years come Sunday.
Whoa. That's amazing. Anyone else online?
Oh, I suppose I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
Tom? Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just thought Sandy and I finally got to the final editing publishing process. So we now have our 9th book up, How 1 + 1 = 19 for large values of 1.
All right, online, anyone else? Did Clint want to? I'm sorry, we couldn't hear you before.
All right.
Sorry for the delay. It seems I have to use a microphone in order to talk with this machine. But the yacht club snuck in a race yesterday between the storms, so we had a lot of fun.
All right, thank you. Want to pull a number?
Yes, number, here it is. How about 724?
724.
Oh my God.
We got a winner.
First time ever. Wins lunch.
Great job, Rachel. Thanks for helping out, Tony. You can tell that when it comes to fleecing the flock, the apple doesn't fall far from the So, and then by the way, as far as security goes, the last few presidents while I was on the board had sent me emails saying, please pay this invoice, Steve. And when I follow up with them, it was a bogus email. So if any of you, especially board members, get an email from me instructing you to pay an invoice, it's BS. So, a little heads up on that.
I use that excuse all the time.
There you go. Yeah, if it's Alan Williams, though, that's a different story. So, I guess with that, we will have our 4-way test. In the things we think, say, and do.
Is it the truth?
All concerned will build goodwill and good friendship. Concerned.